You're listening to Just a Dude podcast with your host, Nathan. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's roll. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Just a Dude in the News on Just a Dude podcast, where your old pal Nathan breaks down the biggest stories from the past week in a way that's straight up, no nonsense, and maybe even a little fun. I'm just a dude sitting in my office, sipping some coffee, trying to make sense of the world for you. This week, we're diving into the top 10 news stories in the United States from August 22nd to today, August 29th, 2025. From unfortunate schoolyard tragedies to big moves in Washington, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Grab a seat, maybe a cold one, and let's talk about what's been happening. All right, first up, a very heartbreaking story out of Minneapolis. On August 28th, a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School left 2 children dead and 18 others injured, with kids between 6 and 15 caught in the crossfire. Hennepin County EMS Chief Marty Shearer praised the students and teachers for their quick thinking, protecting each other during the chaos. A parent of one of the victims, Jesse Merkel, spoke about the loss of his 8-year-old son, Fletcher, and it's tough to hear that without feeling a knot in your stomach. Stories like this hit hard, you know? Kids just trying to learn, and something like this happens. Details are still emerging, but the shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, a transgender male, acted alone and died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The FBI is looking into it as a possible hate crime targeting Catholics, and they're sifting through videos and writings that show Westman had a thing for past mass shooters. Social media has been heavy with folks calling for better school safety and mental health support, while others are pushing for tougher gun laws. Minneapolis is reeling, with vigils planned to honor the victims, Fletcher Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Moisky. What's incredible is the bravery of those kids and the staff. Some students shielded younger ones, and teachers moved fast to get kids under pews when bullets started flying through the church windows. That kind of courage in a nightmare situation is really something else. But it also makes you wonder, how do we keep this from happening again? More security? Better mental health programs? It's a tough question, and no one's got an easy answer. The school's shut down for now, and the investigation is in full swing. Authorities are digging into Westman's past, including their time at the school and their mother's work there years ago. For now, the community's focused on healing, with flowers and teddy bears piling up outside the church. If you're listening, hold your loved ones close. This one's a reminder of how fragile things can really be. Next up, a big shakeup in trade policy. On August 29th, the Trump administration ended the de minimis exemption, which let packages worth less than $800 come into the U.S. duty-free. That's a huge deal. 1.36 billion packages came through last year under this rule, worth over $64 billion. Now, those shipments are going to face tariffs, and it's got folks from small businesses to everyday shoppers wondering what's next. Mexico's Postal Service hit pause on shipments to the U.S., and other countries like those in the EU are doing the same, waiting for clarity on how this will play out. The idea is to give American businesses a fairer shot, since foreign companies were shipping cheap goods without paying duties. You can see the logic. Why let overseas sellers skate by while our folks are dealing with higher cost? But it's going to stir things up. Prices for stuff like clothes, electronics, and gadgets might climb, especially with the holiday season coming. Social media is split on this. Some folks are all for it, saying it's about time we put American jobs first. Others are griping about their budgets taking a hit. Small businesses that rely on cheap imports are feeling squeezed too. The administration's pushing hard with talk of jacking up steel and aluminum tariffs to 50%. This isn't a sexy topic, but it's going to affect how we shop and what we pay. The bet's that it'll boost American manufacturing, but critics say it could just make life pricier for regular folks. If you're ordering stuff online from overseas, you might want to check those shipping costs before you hit buy. Switching over to Washington, D.C., there's some drama in the CDC. On August 28th, the White House fired CDC chief just weeks into the job, and 4 top officials quit in protest. An advisor to RFK Jr. is now taking over as acting leader, according to the Associated Press. This all comes after some public spats over health policy and claims of mismanagement. Never a dull moment in D.C., huh? Tom Frieden, the former CDC head, is worried this shakeup's going to hurt public trust in health agencies, especially after years of folks questioning vaccines and mandates. Social media has got one side saying this is a needed reset to get the CDC back on track, while others are calling it a political move. With a new leader tied to RFK Jr., who's been outspoken on health policy, it's stirring up a lot of chatter. The CDC's been under fire before, and this isn't helping. Supporters of the change say it's a chance to make the agency more transparent and focused. Critics, though, are nervous about what it means for things like flu season prep for future health programs. Trust in public health's already very shaky, and this move's got folks wondering if it's a step forward or a stumble. For now, the agency's in a transition phase, and everyone's watching to see what the new leadership will do. Health policy is one of those things where you want steady hands, not headlines. Keep an eye on this. It could impact everything from vaccine rollouts to how we handle the next big health scare. Sticking with D.C., a federal judge ruled on August 28th that Trump administration official KARI Lake overstepped by firing the director of Voice of America. VOA is a government-funded news outlet that broadcasts worldwide, and it's supposed to stay independent. Lake's attempt to fire the director sparked a big debate about media freedom. The judge said Lake didn't have the authority to make that call, and it's a win for the folks pushing to keep VOA free from political control. Social media's got people cheering the ruling as a stand against government overreach, while others say Lake was trying to fix what they see as a biased outlet. VOA's been in hot water before, so this isn't new territory. It's really a tricky situation. VOA is funded by taxpayers, so some folks think the government should have more say in how it's run, but others argue it's to stay independent to do its job right, telling America's story abroad without a leash. A judge stepping in like this is a big deal, with a ref calling a foul in a heated game. The director's back in place, for now, and Lake's team is reportedly regrouping. There could be more legal fights ahead, but this story is a reminder that who controls the narrative matters, even in a world full of podcasts and social media. Keep an ear out for what's next. Switching gears, August 29th marked 20 years since Hurricane Katrina slammed the Gulf Coast, and it's still a raw memory for a lot of folks. NPR sent photographer Tyrone Turner, a New Orleans native, back to Louisiana to capture the recovery and the scars left behind. This storm killed nearly 1,400 people, wrecked homes, and changed lives, especially in places like New Orleans' lower 9th Ward and Mississippi's Waveland Beach. Turner's photos shows rebuilt homes, but also empty lots and rebuilt levees that remind folks of what we lost. Social media is full of stories about loss and resilience, with people like Nikisha Napoleon from the 9th Ward sharing her experiences. The anniversary's got folks talking about how far the region's come and what's still broken, like infrastructure that's not ready for the next big storm. Katrina was more than a hurricane. It showed how disasters hit harder when systems failed, especially for poorer communities. Some areas bounced back quick, but others were still waiting for help. There's pride in the recovery, but also frustration that government responses didn't always match the need. You hear calls for better levees, smarter planning, and more focus on the folks who need it most. With climate change making storms stronger, the Gulf Coast's looking at how to prepare for what's next. It's heavy, but it's also about people coming together. Neighbors helping neighbors, communities rebuilding. That's the heart of the Gulf Coast, and it's worth remembering as we mark this 20-year milestone. Back to D.C., the Trump administration announced on August 27th it's taking control of Union Station, the big transportation hub in the capital. The Department of Transportation says it's about reclaiming management of the place, which the feds have owned since the 1980s. D.C.'s mayor called it an amazing initiative, but not everyone's sold. Union Station is a historic spot, but it's been dealing with issues: homelessness, maintenance woes, the works. The plan's to clean it up, maybe make it a model for other cities. Social media's got folks cheering the idea for a safer, shinier station, but others are worried about what control really means. There's talk of privatization, which could shake things up. Some are pointing to reports of heavy-handed federal moves everywhere, like arrests for small offenses in D.C. They're asking if this is about fixing a train station or something bigger. Commuters just want a place that's safe and works right, but the details are still a bit fuzzy. It's a bold move, and it could either be a big win or a big mess. For now, the plan's just getting started. If it works, Union Station could be a point of pride again. If it doesn't, it's another headache for a city that's got enough already. Keep watching. This one's going to affect anyone passing through D.C. All right, let's talk money. On August 29th, Bloomberg reported that U.S. consumer spending in July of 2025 rose by the most in 4 months, showing folks are still opening their wallets despite worries about inflation and tariffs. The Bureau of Economic Analysis said inflation-adjusted spending was up 0.3%, driving the strong income growth and demand for goods like cars and household items. That's a solid sign the economy's still got some juice, even with the trade policy noise. The report comes after a bumpy few months where spending took a hit, down 0.1% in May and flat in June. Social media's got folks talking about how they're still buying, but they're getting pickier, hunting for deals and skipping non-essentials like fancy dinners or big screen TVs. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index, released August 25th, dipped slightly to 97.4, with folks citing tariff-related price hikes and inflation, now at 2.5% annually, as big concerns. Still, unemployment's low at 4.2%, keeping paychecks flowing for now. What's driving this? A strong job market's helping, and wages growing faster than inflation for most folks. But there's a catch. Tariffs are starting to bite, especially on imported stuff like cars and electronics. Economists are warning that if businesses pass on more of those costs, we could see tighter budgets, especially for lower and middle income folks like us. The rich are still spending like it's no big deal, but not everyone's got that cushion. It's a mixed bag. People are spending, but they're watching every penny. This story is a reminder that the American consumer is still the backbone of the economy, powering about 70% of it. But with inflation creeping up and tariffs looming, folks are getting cautious. Retail sales were up 0.5% in July, and that's good news. But if prices keep rising, we might see more belt tightening. For now, keep an eye on your wallet and maybe hold off on that big ticket splurge. Let's lighten things up a bit. College football is back, and the season's kicking off today, August 29th, with a bang. For the first time ever, the opening weekend features 3 top 10 matchups according to NPR, plus Arch Manning, yep, that Manning, is starting for the first time, and the hype's real. Fans are going wild on social media sharing predictions and tailgate picks. These games are packing stadiums, and it's a reminder of how football brings folks together, especially after a rough week of news. Bars are packed, grills are fired up, and people are yelling at their TVs like it's a family reunion. That's the kind of energy that makes you love the game. Manning's debut is a big deal. Kid's got a legacy to live up to, and early reports say he's handling the pressure like a pro. But it's not just about him. These matchups set the tone for the whole season. Coaches are feeling the heat, and fans are dreaming of championships. It's a nice escape from the heavy stuff, and we could all use a little of that. So if you're a football fan, this weekend's your Super Bowl. Grab some wings, cheer for your team, and soak in the vibe. Even if football's not your thing, you can't help but feel the excitement. It's America at its loudest and proudest. Down in Florida, we've got a wild one. The Immigration Detention Center in the Everglades, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, is set to be emptied within days, according to state officials on August 28th. The facility's been holding detainees, but now it's closing down, and folks are wondering what's next for immigration policy in the state. The center's been controversial, with critics saying conditions were rough and its remote spot made it tough for families to visit. Social media's got mixed takes. Some are glad it's shutting down, calling it a step toward better treatment. Others say it's a sign of a weaker enforcement, which they're not happy about. Immigration's always a hot topic, and this isn't cooling down. Closing a place like this is complicated. You've got to move detainees, figure out where they're going, and deal with the politics. With the Trump administration pushing hard on deportations, this could be a one-off or part of a bigger shift. State officials aren't saying much about what's next for the site, so it's anyone's guess. That nickname, Alligator Alcatraz, is wild, but it shows how messy immigration debates can get. People want secure borders, but they also want fairness. This story is a small piece of that puzzle, and it's worth watching to see where it leads. And finally, something much lighter. On August 29th, NPR reported that Taylor Swift debuted her engagement ring, and the internet's losing its mind. Fans are all over social media sharing pics and guessing if her next album is going to be all about love and sparkly things. Swift's been a cultural force forever, and this news is like a holiday for her fan base. The ring's a stunner, and it's got folks talking about wedding plans and how this might affect her tour schedule. There's also buzz about her recent push to reclaim her music catalog rights, which is a big deal for artists everywhere. It's funny how a ring can become a national story, but that's Taylor's world. She turns personal moments into cultural events. Some folks are rolling their eyes, just calling it celebrity gossip, but others see it as a feel-good story in a week full of heavy news. Either way, it's got everyone chatting. Congrats to Taylor and Travis Kelce. We're hoping she gets her happily ever after, and maybe we'll get a killer love song out of it. For now, it's a reminder that even in this crazy world, there's room for a little joy. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Just a Dude in the News. We covered a lot, from the heartbreak in Minneapolis to Taylor Swift's shiny new ring, and everything in between. Thanks for hanging out with me as we sorted through it all. I gotta be honest here, folks. This is probably one of the last episodes of Just a Dude in the News. Some major life changes are coming my way, so I'm gonna have to step back from the weekly news grind. But don't worry, the guest episodes that you continue to enjoy on Just a Dude podcast will keep on rolling, so stay tuned for those. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and I'll catch you on the next episode.